Hello and welcome back. I'm Sean Fox and you're watching another episode of Made to Ramble. In this episode we'll be talking about Adobe Creative Cloud, Premiere in particular, and we'll be taking a look at a couple of really affordable alternatives. But before we do that, here's the intro. Alright, so I've been using the Adobe suite for a couple of years now, and while I am a big fan of Adobe and their software, I'm not such a big fan of the subscription model. I tend to use Lightroom, Photoshop, Premiere, and occasionally After Effects, which means I'm really having to subscribe to the full suite. But at $70 odd a month, it really does start to add up, and I'm not so sure that I'm getting my money's worth. So with that said, I figured it was time to look at a few of the more affordable alternatives. While I'm looking for something a little less pricey, I am not wanting to compromise on the features. One of the things that I really love about Adobe Premiere is having the ability to use a proxy workflow. Being able to automatically encode proxy files at the click of a button while importing files is hugely convenient and really pretty necessary when working with 4K media. I have a decent fast gaming laptop that I use for most of my editing, but I still find that once I start throwing in a little warp stabilizer and some color grading, my system starts to struggle a little. So whatever alternative I eventually settle on needs to have a similar proxy setup, or at the very least needs to handle 4K footage without taxing every available resource. Another Premiere feature that I'm a big fan of is the auto sync feature. Being able to record audio to a separate source and then automatically sync it with my video in post is really handy. And while this feature is not necessarily a deal breaker, it is definitely on my wish list. So other features that are also on that wish list include software stabilizing, like warp stabilizer, some decent color grading tools, the ability to import LUTs, animated text, and also some audio tools as well, compression, equalizer, that sort of thing. Also having the ability to change the volume of a music file throughout the video. Any software that I settle on will definitely need to be able to handle multiple video and audio tracks, and ideally should have a multi-track editing function. So I have been exploring a couple of options just recently, and I've got to say I'm cautiously optimistic. One of these programs which genuinely appears to tick all of the boxes is not only affordable, it's actually free. The software that I'm referring to is Blackmagic Design's Davinci Resolve, and while there is a paid version, just $2.99 US, the free version doesn't exactly skimp on its features. I really can't see too many YouTubers opting to shell out money for the paid version when the free version offers as much as it does. If I understand correctly, Davinci Resolve started out as a color grading program rather than a full-fledged non-linear editor, but with each new iteration, features have been continually added until now, when at this stage the software seriously gives Adobe Premiere a run for its money. I am blown away by what I can do with this program. So let's take a look at a couple of those features that I was talking about. Okay, we'll start with the proxy workflow. In many ways, Davinci Resolve's method of handling proxies is even more convenient and less disruptive than the Adobe Premiere method. Unlike Premiere, Davinci doesn't need to load up a piece of software to create its proxies. It's done almost invisibly within the program itself, and you're given plenty of options where codecs and resolution are concerned. To set up your proxies, you can jump into Settings, Master Settings, and under the Optimized Media and Render Cache, you can choose both the codec that you want to encode to. In this case, I'll be encoding to the 10-bit Cineform codec, but I could also have chosen one of the DNX HR codecs or even gone for an uncompressed video. I don't have that much space to work with, so the GoPro Cineform codec will do quite nicely. The resolution options are kind of interesting. Rather than selecting a specific resolution, you have an option of original, half, quarter, eighth and 16. I actually think this is a pretty sensible decision on their part, as we're not always working with the same aspect ratio. If you're filming with anamorphic lenses, or if you're using the GH5's 6K anamorphic mode, which gives you video in 4:3, then this saves you from having to do the math. All you have to do once you've imported your files is select all your videos, right-click and generate optimized media. So once those have been encoded, as long as you have use optimized media, if available, ticked, that's under the playback drop-down box, then Davinci Resolve will automatically use the proxy files. You can toggle that on and off while you're doing any color grading if you're needing to work with the full resolution file, and when you deliver the final output, it will automatically encode from the original files. This is pretty awesome. Also, if you happen to be one of those who prefer transcoding beforehand to a more usable, high quality all-I codec at the full resolution, either DNX HR or ProRes, depending on whether you're on a Mac or a PC, then there is an option to transcode all of your videos under media management as well, which may be preferable to using proxies for some. Okay, so what's next? The audio sync. Now this is really interesting. Unlike Adobe Premiere where you sync your audio with the video on the timeline itself, Davinci Resolve allows you to sync your files automatically straight after you've imported them. You highlight the video, right click and left click on Auto Sync Audio based on waveform. This automatically replaces the audio from the original video with this audio that I recorded with my lapel mic directly to a field recorder. So from now on, Davinci Resolve treats that WAV file as the audio track for that video. You don't get much easier than that, and I think it's a much neater workflow than using Premiere Pro. So shall we take a look at color grading? Davinci Resolve is second to none where color grading is concerned. It gives you wheels, bars, curves, and even allows you to mask an item and track it, which as far as I'm aware cannot be done with Premiere. For that sort of thing you would need to look to After Effects. But it's all here in Davinci Resolve. You can of course import LUTs into Resolve as well, and a very cool feature is the ability to add a LUT onto all of your log footage when you first import it, so that you're not having to stare at ugly flat video while you're editing it all together. Once you've finished editing, you can easily remove the LUT from all your footage before you start color grading. That is a pretty handy feature. Davinci Resolve will also enable you to stabilize any shaky footage, and it does a pretty job. Weirdly enough, you'll find the stabilizer hidden away on the color page, which seems a little counterintuitive to me, but it doesn't take long to get used to. Davinci Resolve also has a pretty feature-rich audio page, one which not only allows me to lower the volume while there's dialogue, but also gives me access to a few useful effects, which makes tweaking the audio an absolute breeze. I've barely scraped the surface of what this program is capable of, but so far I am very impressed indeed. This really does look like a viable alternative to using Adobe Premiere. But now Davinci Resolve is not the only program that I've been looking at. There is an interesting alternative that I've been playing around with, which, while it's not as feature-rich as either Premiere Pro or Resolve, it is very affordable and it seems to handle 4K footage surprisingly well. Most of the videos that I've tried editing with this program have run very smoothly without the need to transpose or create proxies, and what really makes this a surprise is the fact that this app runs on both my phone and my iPad. This could be a very convenient option for those times when I'm traveling. So the program that I'm referring to here is called LumaFusion. It's not a free app, but like most mobile apps, it's fairly inexpensive compared to your typical desktop alternative. I think this cost me somewhere around $25 US, but don't quote me on that. Now, I won't go a lot into LumaFusion on this video. I'm planning to do another video soon looking at using the iPhone X and the DJI Osmo Mobile as a very cool sort of compact filmmaking kit. I'm planning to edit the video on the iPhone itself using LumaFusion, so I'll let you know how things go once that video is finished. But so far, I'm quietly optimistic. There are a few features I would have preferred to see, like a video stabilizer, but these days with the cameras that I've been using, software stabilizing is becoming less and less necessary. There's no option to automatically sync audio and video, but I've not found it too much of a struggle to manually sync. It's certainly not a deal breaker to me. The app allows you to edit 3 video tracks with audio and also 3 audio tracks. It gives you all the necessary tools to edit audio, including compression and EQ, and I really like the way you can use auto ducking to lower the audio automatically whenever there's dialogue on the master track. Of course, we can do the same thing manually too, but the auto ducking feature does save a lot of time. LumaFusion also offers a pretty decent selection of tools for color grading, and of course it enables you to import and use LUTs as well. This is really impressive for a mobile app. I probably wouldn't use this for all of my video editing, but for those times when we're on the move, this could be an invaluable tool. So those are the programs that I've been checking out just lately. I've also been looking into alternative photo editing software as well, but I'll take a look at that in another video. At this stage, I'm not too sure whether I might opt to subscribe still to the Adobe photo plan, as I've recently been brushing up on my Photoshop skills and I'm not quite convinced of the alternatives yet. Whereas with video, my first impressions are certainly encouraging, and I'll definitely let you know how it goes. I have until the beginning of June to make a proper decision because my annual subscription expires then. I'll be happy to keep you updated. If you have any questions about either of the apps that I've been talking about today, let me know in the comments. I'll do my very best to answer them. Perhaps you know of other software I might like to check out. I'd love to hear from you. So that's probably about all there is for this episode. I'll try to have another video out next week. I don't have quite as much time as I used to, and with not traveling at the moment, I'm finding it a bit of a struggle coming up with quality videos each week. I'd rather not put out videos that are subpar, so there may be a little time between videos while I try and jig the formula a little and really figure out what I want to do with this channel. I do still have a series of photography related videos in the pipeline. I'm hoping to get the first of these out soon. But until then, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, I'll see you again soon.